What up, world? Welcome to another episode of RMT. That's Real Man Talk. It's your boy, Stan the Man, coming to you with another great conversation piece on today. And before we get started, I want to thank you for joining me here on RMT. All right? So let's go ahead and get right into it today. Today, we want to talk about if I don't make six figures, does that make me less of a man? One of the top discussions that have been going on in the past, just say 5 or 6 years, is the topic of making six figures. And a lot of women, what they criteria for them finding a man is one of those things. You got to be 6 feet tall, got to make six figures. You got to have all these different things. They have this laundry list that they have for men in order to fit their criteria on what they need to have before they can get with that woman, right? So I'm here to tell you, does that make you, I'm here to discuss, does you not making six figures make you less of a man? And one thing that leads to that discussion is the social media, right? I know I talk about that a lot, but the influencers, the guys that's on here flashing the money, the guys that's on here with the cars, all that stuff that look like it's an illusion to sell or assume that they're making this money. Some guys are renting private jets or Airbnb to be in to make it seems like that's what I'm doing or that's how much money that I'm making. So when a lot of women see that and a lot of men see that, they just assume that's what they doing, that's what they making, and it might make you feel some type of way because society deemed that as being a man. So measuring, if we are just measuring how amount of money that a man makes about his greatness, just think about this. Malcolm X is one of the men that's talk about. He passed away in 1965, right? Make sure I got this right. 1965. That's over 60 years ago, and we still talking about him until this day. He in history books until this day that people are study talking about him. And he didn't die. I mean, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't die a millionaire. He didn't die with all these multi millions. But the impact that he left, the type of man that he was, left a lasting impact on history. So I looked this up in 1965. Could you tell me who was the richest man in the world? You couldn't tell me because money always changes hands. It always gonna be a different person that's the richest man in the world. It's always gonna be amount of money, a dollar amount that you're gonna forever chase. But greatness, you don't have to chase it. So I looked it up in 1965. It was a guy called J. Paul Getty was the richest man in the world at that time. A lot of us never heard of him, probably are never going to hear about him, but that's what it was. But think about this, even with Jesus, all those years ago when he passed away, people still talking about him now. Not because of how much money he made people, not because of how much money that he made, but because of the type of man that he was, the type of lifestyle that he lived, and the things that he did to help other people out. Just him being who he was, standing by his word, and believing in what he was saying and what he was doing. That right there, that what makes you a man. Not the dollar amount, though. Yeah, not the dollar amount. So let's talk about this. Where do this pressure come from? We already know other people, society, women, social media. Those three things are what brings about this pressure for men to make this six figures. Also, it can be other men, your peers. It could be people, your spouse, seeing that your friends are making this amount of money and you not making that money. Like, I want to live this lifestyle. I want to go here. I want to go there. But you never know the inner working parts of that dynamic in their household. See, we just assume that they got it this way. We just assume that they doing it this way, but you never know exactly what's going in their household, the reason they doing what they doing or able to do what they do. You can't say. It could be credit cards. It could be any other form that they could be doing something else in order to be able to do that. So you can't never tell. And so one of the pressures I think Kevin Samuel Kevin Samuels, and I might be wrong, honed the term of the six figures. I think he honed that term on his show about guys making six figures and do you want to be able to take care of your family. He broke down everything. You can go check out his videos to see what he was talking about. But I think he's one, and ever since then, that conversation has started about six figures and making this amount and doing this and doing that, and not and less focused on being a man and more about the wallet. I understand that. And society flipped the script on us. Somewhere in between the lines, providing started to turn into performing. Because being a protector somewhere along the line just turned into being a provider, and not only being a provider, but being a provider of luxury things. And then if you think about it, even if you provide the key essentials for your family, say shelter, food, water, clothes, protection, but you're not going on trips, there's something wrong with that. Or you can't afford a certain kind of shoes or clothes, designer clothes for your kids or your wife, it's an issue. That's what society wants to deem and wants you to make you feel like you're not enough so you can continue to spend money. Because they want your confidence to be in what you wear and what you post and the likes you get. That's how they continue to make money. So if I can make the man feel like he not efficient enough with the money that he making and what he providing, and make sure that that woman put that extra pressure on him. Not only that, society, when you go online, they putting that on there. Let's push all this pressure on him to make money, not to be a teacher, not to be a provider, not to be a protector, not to be a person that a stand up guy where everybody can call on and lean on, be dependable. No, let's just focus on making money. That's it. Not teaching them how to manage the money to your children, but let's just focus on making money. And then from there, you can go from there. And sometimes it leads to nothing, but you just providing things. That's it. And let's just I'm gonna go here real quick. Y'all know I like to use scriptures, right? So in the beginning, Genesis 2:15, it says, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden. So I'm gonna go to this scripture real quick. Genesis 2:15, and it says, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And to keep it. So in other words, the Lord God put the man in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. So in the Garden of Eden, it wasn't a mansion there. Also in the Garden of Eden, you didn't have Wi-Fi. It wasn't about status. It was about purpose and responsibility. And that's something that we as men lose sight of because they said focus on the dollar. They said focus on the money. Not on yourself, not building up yourself, not reading, not physically building yourself up, not preparing yourself to be able to teach your children in certain situations what they need to do, teach them how to manage their money, about insurance, about paying their bills on time, credit score. Not that part. Just make the money and buy them what they want. Don't never tell them no, and they have to realize that in this world they're going to have to be told no. They're going to have to wait for certain things. They're not going to just get everything overnight or when they want it. So you are teaching all that in the house. Not only are you teaching that, so when they come and they have an issue going on, I know daddy gonna go out there and handle the issue or protect me from the things that could harm me. Guess what? What can harm them? The internet, social media, other family members that's talking negative. It's your job to protect your child from them situations. It's your job to protect your family from that situation. But if you leave it up to social media and society, make the money. That's all that matters. Get to six figures, and after you get six figures, we can respect everything else. And Adam, he didn't have a six-figure income, but he had a mission. God gave him work to do, and that what made him a man, not his salary. Don't let and see, don't let don't let society trick you. Because look at this. They got a documentary on ESPN called Broke. It's about athletes that got paid these huge contracts, but then they end up losing all their money. But just think about this. When that person got that big contract, everybody was saying, "Oh man, you the man. You the man. You done made it for the family. You at the time, you're a celebrity not only to your family but society too, because you done made this money. Now, since you done made this money, you a man. You a man. A lot of them was teenagers, didn't understand the concept of money, and a lot of them lost it. Then after they lost the money, oh, you was a fool. You should have did better. You should have did this. You should have did that. Don't nobody really focus on building the character of these young men coming into the league or any young men that come into a large amount of money. They just focus on, okay, we gonna pump up his head that he a man because he get this six-figure plus income. So now, since we got his ego stroke, let's go in there and take all his money. Let's go in there and take all his money. Let's not give him the knowledge that he can be able to take care of his family for generations to come. No, let's not do that. Let's not build up his confidence as a man for him to be able to find the financial advisors he needs to find, for him to be able to manage his taxes. No, no, no. Let's not do all that. But see, that's the part of like the man part that come in that father figures or other guys around that can teach, and a lot of guys didn't have that. That's why they end up in that situation. They didn't have somebody, a man around them to help them manage their situation. Perfect example, man, I like to use is I like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had his mom, had his dad there. He had a solid foundation that he was coming from with people that helped him guide him through this situation. He had good coaches along the way, building him as a man before he ever got to making that money that he made. Even like LeBron. LeBron had a group of men around him, grooming and making sure and looking out for him that the man part of him is the man part of him. Let me get this right. They made sure that the man part of him is developed before the money came. So they help him manage that money and also manage him growing up to be a man, to be able to manage his family, his money and everything. Then he was able to be who he is now. Some people don't have those examples or have those people around them to help them get to that point. So now, if you don't get the six figures, you ain't the man. But even if you get the six figures and you can't manage it, they still gonna call you, you're not the man, and you're gonna be a fool. You're gonna be a fool. So don't base who you are on your income. Base who you are. Base who you love who you are first before you even get that money. Because even if you get that money, you still gonna be empty inside because you don't know who you are. Find who you are, young man, without that money. Find who you are. Go out here and try different things. Come out here and work out. Go out here and read. Find who you are without that money first. Once you get the money, you'll be okay. And see, this is another thing, man. Once they start to get you to this six figures, they get that into your head. Then you try to work to get to that point, right? You try to burn both end of the candles. I gotta work 2 jobs. I gotta work all these hours because I got to get to this 6 figure income that I can be able to brag and tell people, yeah, I'm making 6 figures. I'm making 6 figures. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Everybody want to brag and say they making 6 figures, and the whole time you are taking years off your life because you just working back to back to back. You know, some people like to brag to say, I'm always at work. I'm always work. I'm always at work. I'm always tired. I don't got time to do anything, even spend time myself. My health would decline and everything. I remember this young lady that I work with, and God rest her soul. She used to work a whole lot. She didn't take off time. She took off a little time to spend with her kids and her family, but she worked a whole lot. And about time that she stopped working, she realized that she had cancer. So once she realized she had cancer, you know, she got to go through the treatments, the chemo and everything. And so once she went through all that, and she ended up coming back to work, but when she came back to work, a little bit after that, she ended up passing away. So just because you devote all this time to it, you can break down your body physically, mentally, and you be socially awkward because you don't even go out and talk to people or be around people like that. But they'll put in your mind to kill yourself working, work, 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 and you don't put nothing into you. All you putting into the bank account. When the last time you deposit something in you? When the time you deposit something good in you? If it's health wise, you're eating, working out, reading a book, getting a massage, taking a vacation. When the last time you put something inside of you? When the last time you bought a course? When the last time that you said, well, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to finish this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to put this money back to start this business so I can invest within myself. When the last time you did that? Now, am I saying it's wrong to have money into your account? Yes, but we have to learn to have a balance within life. Sometimes we get burnt out so much, burning the candle on both ends, that we realize, dang, where all that time go to? I really ain't live life because I've been spending all my time trying to work and get to this 6 figures, right? And if we be honest, just think about this. If we be honest with ourselves for a second, you can buy every material thing that your spouse, your children, everything that they want, right? You can go on every vacation that you want to go on. But as they get older, they might not remember anything. They might remember some of those vacations, but they might not remember none of the things that they bought. I remember this in my childhood. We didn't go a whole bunch of places when I was younger. We didn't do a whole bunch of traveling when I was younger. I can count on my hand how many places that I went when I was younger. But I do remember my dad always being there. I do remember my dad helping me with my homework. I do remember my dad going to parent teacher conference. I do remember my dad whenever I played a sport, he was there at the game. I do remember my dad every time I had an issue or problem in life, he was right there. I do remember my dad whenever I needed something, he was right there. I do remember my dad protecting me. I remember all of those times. I might not I might not remember every material thing that he bought, but all the lessons that he taught me, all the love that he showed me, I remember that. So you can take and spend as much money as you want to on your children. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But the lessons and you being there and you teaching them how to deal with life without you will exceed anything that you could ever buy them. Anything you can ever buy them. And so let's go back to this 1 second, man. I got in my notes, man. Just stop comparing yourself to other guys and other people what they doing out there, cause you don't know if they scamming, you don't know if they stealing, you don't know exactly what they doing to get what they get or to get how far they got. You don't know. You just assuming that they doing the right thing or they doing what they supposed to do in order to get there. And so you looking at them and comparing yourself to them, but nah, you need to just look in the mirror and see what you can do within your life. Because you comparing your life to them, you don't know what's going on, but you can compare your life to your life and see what's going on, what you can fix and what you can do within your life, and then go on from there. Um, Also, people be lying online. You don't know exactly what they got going on, you know, and you feel like you're not doing enough, man. You doing all that you can. There are men out here raising their children with love, patience. Men staying faithful in their marriage. Men sacrificing their own dreams so their kids can have a better shot. And you think you're not man enough because your check says 52K instead of 100,000. Don't get tricked, man. Don't get tricked. Don't get tricked. Because bro, you still a real one, regardless of what type of money that you make or what you out there doing. Okay, so let's move here real quick. Let's flip the script for a second. Okay. I'm gonna go right here in my notes and I'm gonna go right here in my notes and I got being a man is not about the digits. It's about discipline. That what you're doing for your family will affect your generations, all your generations to come. That's discipline. That's with your money, raising your kids, being there, just within yourself, making good decisions. Direction, the path of greatness. You can choose the path of greatness, or you can choose the path of bitterness on how you take your family. You can work all the time and not put anything into your children and what you expect to get from them if you didn't put anything in them. So you got to point your family, your children in the right direction in order for you to have greatness instead of bitterness because you didn't teach them or you wasn't there to show them certain things or you just went there period and now they want to go and sit on go get some therapy because you weren't there for them. You know, devotion. The time you put forth in the effort, even devotion, the time and devotion, the time put forth in effort, even when you the only person, when even the only person that sees it is God. But sometimes we put in the work and we do all these things and we expect everybody to give us praise. And sometimes as a man, you're not gonna get the praise that's due to you. Only person gonna see is God. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. Sometimes you gotta keep pressing. Keep pressing. Ain't nobody gonna watch you. Ain't nobody gonna pat you on the back. It's just what you do as a man, unfortunately. It's just what it is. You can make 38K a year and be the most dependable, consistent, God-fearing, family-building man on the block, and that's manhood at its purest form. Don't let nobody tell you just because you're not making a certain amount of money that you're not no man. Point blank, period. Right here, Proverbs 22:1 says, "A good name a good name is rather to be chosen than the great riches and love and favor rather than silver and gold." So, hold on. So, in other words, I break this down. A good name is more desirable than riches. To be esteemed is better than silver and gold. Yeah, that's coming from Proverbs 22:1. Yeah. So sometimes we think that So sometimes we think that the money is the most important thing, but integrity, your character, your word, those three things gonna trump that money every time. Let me ask you something. You know, and I use a lot of sports reference. If you go and you think about the draft, like drafting players, you can pick any sport that they draft players in. Before they draft those players, they have visits. They have you come and visit a different programs, different teams to see exactly what team you want to join up with, or they might potentially draft you. Even in college, they send kids out letters, send different go do different visits to different schools. But check this out, they doing that not only to pay them money, but they want to see what type of character they have to see if they can not only build a team around them, or will the team they be able to fit in with what the team have going on. See, they gonna spend all this money on you, but if you don't fit in with what they got going on, if you don't have the type of characteristics that they want to fit into that, they don't want you around. They don't want you around. A lot of major business deals didn't go down because of person character, because of person flawed. A lot of people don't want to deal with certain people in business because their integrity, their character, they didn't do what they need to do. It's some people that don't even like each other. They don't like each other, you know. But because on the business side, they know how to handle business, they'll deal with them on business, but not as a person. Because they just don't like them. But with, I'm going to take that out. But you see what I'm getting at? Sometimes your character and the way that you are will get you further than any amount, the dollar amount. Because you can be rich and do all this, but when you walk into a room and you already have people talking about you in that room without any money, that's a blessing to be able to move around like that, because your character and what you have done goes in front of you. It goes in front of you and build relationships and have people talking about you in rooms that you never been in. Can money do that? Yes. Sometimes money can do that, but that character does it. Now, let's say this. Now, money still matters now. Don't get it wrong. Money still matters. You know, I'm not promoting laziness or excuses. No. I'm not doing that. You know, it's okay to want more, but don't let that define your manhood and who you are because you want more. Don't let six figures be like, okay, well, once I make it to six figures, I'm a man. You know, because that dollar amount can go up and down. You might be six figures this year. You might be at 51 year. You might be at 61 year. It just depends on how life goes. So you might not always be at six figures. So if you're not always at that six figures, that means you're not going to be a man. That means you're not a man. Doesn't mean you're not going to be who you are because you don't have that amount of money. Or you still going to be who you are regardless of the situation. Whatever situation that you find yourself in, be there with content at that time. And then use what God gave you to grow, learn, and level up. Do it for purpose, not for pressure. Don't let the pressure from society push you away from your purpose just for the bag. Just for the bag, just for the money. Let me say this. Sometimes we can choose to do something for the money. And once you do it for the money, you don't have any peace. See, that's one of the things that people don't talk about is that six figures is good. And I don't mind making, any amount of money you need to make or whatever. It's going to come different layers that come with it. But even though it's more work and it's more responsibility, that's cool. But do you have peace within doing what you're doing? Do you have peace? Or you taking this job, you be like, dang, man, I'm making the money, but I ain't got time to do this. I ain't got time to do that. This going on, that going on. All these different things are going on, and you're not at peace within yourself. You just going in circles, round and round. Don't know what to do. Because you don't have no peace within that situation that you're doing. Now, you could be making millions of dollars and be at peace and you be cool. But all money is not worth your peace. Sometimes it's not even worth it, man. Because if you get the bag, you lose your soul, your peace, your family. Was it really worth it? Right here, Mark 8:36. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? They don't say that. They just tell you, hey, go get the money. Go get the money. Make the money. Come back. Make the money. Make the money. That's what they say. That's what they tell you, to make the money. But if you lose everything else, if you lose your family because you get in the bag, was it worth it? If you lose your peace of mind, you go crazy. Was it worth it? If you lose family members and friends, was it worth it? See, some people make you seem like just the money is worth everything. As long as I get the money, I don't care about having none of the other things. Okay. Okay. So let me say this to you. Um, whether you make 30,000, 60,000, 600,000, you're not less of a man. You're a man when you show up when it's hard. You lead when it's inconvenient. You love when it's not returned, and you stand firm when everything is trying to make you fold. That's it. Sometimes as men, we got the most demanding, underpaid job, most rewarding job that it is. It sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Sometimes the things that we go through, the barriers that we have to break, the mending that we have to do, the standing firm sometimes when it's hurting our feelings that we got to do to make sure that everything move forward, it just have to be done. Is it pretty? No. Is it hard? Yes. Is it rewarding? Yes. It's all the above. But don't make them think because you don't have a certain dollar amount, you're not who you are. Yeah, I'm him. I'm him. Look in the mirror. Pray to God and ask God, Lord, what is it that my gift that you have for me to do? What's my purpose that you have on here for me to do? What did you really want me to go out here and fulfill in this life? What you want me to do? And he'll show you. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for liking, subscribing. Also, send it to someone that you think will help. Share it with them. Also, if there's anyone that you would like to see on here, just hit me on my inbox at Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Stay in the man. Also, follow, like, subscribe. Real Man Talk Podcast, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Appreciate y'all for listening. Until next week, peace.